And what is your assessment of the Biden administration's response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine versus their response to the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan?
I think the key term you used is response because we are in response mode. What you have to do is take a step back to before the response when they had an opportunity to influence things in a different way. And like I already said, taking military actions off the table immediately doesn't help. Waiting till last minute to get lethal aid, that's missiles and what have you, javelin missiles and what have you to the Ukrainian people was a mistake. Not having the sanctions ready to roll right away was a mistake. Are they doing better with sanctions now? Are they tightening the sanctions with their response? Absolutely. But really, when bad guys sense weakness, they will exploit the weakness. And that's what Putin did. He sensed the weakness in his administration, and it's emblematic of how they handled Afghanistan and other crises, and how they didn't respond to the major cyber attacks we've had from China and Russia over the last year or two. And so I think the bad guys are looking at this and they're saying, well, I don't think Biden's going to do anything, so we're going in. And then you look at China and Taiwan, and they're looking at Taiwan going, and she's looking very close to what's happening here with respect to Russia. So, however, whatever the shortcomings were this administration before the invasion, the response, I think, has been pretty good. And I think they need to continue to respond in the manner they're doing. And I think by its very nature, it caused NATO to come together because NATO wasn't on the same page before the invasion. Now, not only is everybody in NATO countries on the same page, you have countries like Finland and Sweden, who are generally very, very against joining NATO, are talking about joining NATO. So it's been a sea change in NATO. And so, ironically, Putin went into this partly to ensure that Ukraine didn't become part of NATO. And now NATO's going to be stronger than ever. And so just a lot to go with this going forward, a lot of moving parts. But I think the administration has done a pretty good job with respect to the sanctions. I think we should do more with respect to oil and cut off their oil supply to the West. We could do that by the president temporarily, at least temporarily, rolling back a lot of his restrictive policies with respect to oil production in the U.S. and at a minimum would send a signal to the markets that would lessen the severity of cutting off Russian oil to the U.S. And I think we ought to think about really going hardcore and doing that. That would show real leadership by the president.